If you like this channel and what I do here, please help to support my work by checking out one of my books, available from Lulu Publishing and Amazon.com. Thank you.
This show is shit.
Hi folks, Carl James here from Electric Media Madness, joined today by Dan Ryan. How you doing?
Alright after that, yeah.
We are here to talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 3, opening episode. Do you want to do a plot synopsis on this first episode?
Oh, it's so good, right? We open up, Michael Burnham, she's dangerous driving a little bit, and she gets hit. I don't know how she doesn't die here. She comes out of the wormhole in the Iron Man suit and gets hit by a spaceship, falls all the way through the atmosphere, and just basically hits the ground. I mean, stops herself just before, but hits the ground.
No re-entry burn up or anything like that.
No.
I mean, she does this thing, doesn't she, just before she hits the ground of like, activate shield something or other, it's all kind of, yeah. Which, when we talk about technology, that's something that we'll get into in a minute, because where the series has gone now has opened up so many wonderful opportunities for the Kurtzman, JJ type people. Anyway, carry on.
After they crash, she destroys the suit, of course, because kind of any time travel stuff. Got to quickly get rid of all those plot holes. Got to get them out.
Yeah.
Before that, she checks to see if the person who hit her is all right and alive, and then she goes in this like maniacal laugh and cheer of joy for way too
just
long.
Like crazed laugh. Yeah, cheer. All that weird.
Yeah, it's quite weird.
And then when she blows up the suit, then she starts crying, doesn't she?
She starts crying. So yeah, that was a bit weird. And then I think then is where we get our lovely title sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes and finds the man who hit her. They have a little fist fight. Yeah.
I mean, that's something that we said about the size of Michael Burnham compared to this new character whose book, which is an interesting rip-off of a character from Firefly, the name. Anyway, not the character, but the name. So there's, again, no originality there with choosing things. And she fights, and she kicks the crap out of him, doesn't she?
He gets a couple of hits in.
Before we go any further, I just wanted to say
about... She smashes the fucking shit out of him.
Because she says to him, I'm not fighting you, you're fighting me. And then she kicks the shit out of him. So
holds a weapon to his cheek.
Yeah.
Literally holds a weapon here like this.
Yeah. Well, she's not fighting him, he's fighting her.
No.
Because she's a woman and he's a man.
So they have their little brawl, and then they go into their spaceship, and she sees this 900 years in the future spaceship, and she's like, "This is communications. This is." If I went to someone from the year 1200 and gone, "Yo, what's this?" I don't think they're going to go, the Samsung S10. Are they? No, they're not. No. So how does she know what all this technology... No. It's just... It looks like a fucking rock. A stone with like little bumps on it. And she's like, that's communications, that's... How?
Yeah, it reminds me of that episode from Next Generation, the Contagion. They're searching for the Iconian race, and he says in his log, he says, "I'm like a caveman confronted by a tricorder." And I'm thinking, well, yeah, a caveman wouldn't have a fucking clue what a tricorder was, But she knows this is this, that is that. No, she knows where it all is, what it does, and everything. It's like...
Are you questioning our queen?
Well, yes.
Are you questioning our queen,
McQueen.
Michael Burnham?
Mikey Spock.
We must simp for Michael Burnham. We must. That is what Mr. Kurtzman said, and what Mr. Kurtzman say goes.
Yeah.
And that hurt.
It's true.
My leg hurts.
Your leg hurts now. Take the pain for Michael Burnham. Take it.
I will take it.
Endure it.
The Queen must be protected. So after that, the Queen just kind of laughs at his fat cat.
Yeah, I completely missed that.
She just sort of laughs at his fat cat.
I did hear something about there was a cat in it. And, yeah.
Yeah. And then and then they go to Requiem. How do I remember that name? They go to Requiem.
That's something that I want to find. When, you know, I mean, this is my thing with Star Trek is this is not Star Trek now, and we've said this in many videos. Where we talked about the few Lower Decks we reviewed, all of Picard, that kind of thing. Whatever, people can say what they like, but this isn't Star Trek. I mean, it's as simple as that. I know what Star Trek is. I've watched a blood enough of it, so I know. This is Star Trek now as they want it to be. The Star Trek of old is they want that gone. Yeah. But one of the things that I always said, I'd said to you, didn't I, when we watched it? What happened to the naming of places? Like it's like Elixotia and Elysium and Requiem was an episode. I know in Star Trek there was occasionally they've done that, like there's a planet next station called Pacifica and all this kind of thing. But generally planets are like, this is Delta 9 and Beta 4 and Gamma Tari 6 and all, you know, all this. It's like real sort of like, you know, proper science fiction. Occasionally they'd create some shit exotic planet name or something like that. But it's all like Stardust City Rag from Picard and all that. And it's just like, you know, it's like how many weird ways that we can... It's like they read something off a... I don't know, an ingredient from a beauty product or something like Elixir or something. That'd be a good name for a planet.
Maybe.
Yeah, so they go...
They go to Requiem, which is kind of funny because you see it, and it looks like this glorious city that's like perfect or whatever. And then you go there and it's an absolute shithole.
With lots of holograms, which is part of the course with his lot, because they did that with Picard, didn't they? With Stardust City Rag, actually, we mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah. It's just some
This is the planet where it's got like Andorians and Orions running it.
That look a bit weird.
Yeah.
Got to get that 25% different.
And they get in on the basis of, because she's got some technology from Discovery's time, which can be used for trading, because that's something we haven't said yet. I mean, obviously people who know something about Discovery know that this has been teased for quite some time, is that the Federation is basically all but gone, isn't it?
Yes.
There's this thing called the Burn, which I commented and said, I commented and said, isn't it interesting? The Burn, Michael Burnham, so maybe we'll find out eventually that, although she did destroy the time suit, so...
Our Queen would never do something so horrible. Our Queen is perfect. She will rebuild the Federation.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
You speak ill of her.
Yeah. I mean, in my fevered nightmare dreams of when I, thinking about Star Trek Discovery coming back, I envision this point at the end where the entire Federation will be rebuilt, and she'll be the Queen of the Federation in her Iron Man suit, flying ahead of the fleet of all the starships across the galaxy. She doesn't even need a starship. She just builds a new suit, and she's like flying through the sky, flying through space in front ahead of the fleet. Queen of the Federation, President.
The way of getting rid of the Federation... We're jumping ahead a bit here, but the way of getting rid of the Federation is such fucking bullshit. They're just like, all of the ships just magically blew up.
But have you... Yeah, because they say that all of a sudden all the dilithium in the galaxy just started blowing up.
How do they have any?
I mean, that is...
How do they have any if it all blew up?
It's such a shit idea. I mean, it really doesn't carry any weight whatsoever. How is it that something like that just suddenly happens after years, after centuries and centuries of use of dilithium in warp drive engines? Every race across the galaxy was using it for like the better part of 1,000 years, and then all of a sudden,
it just suddenly blows.
Somebody spiked it, something like that. It just suddenly started blowing up. It's like sugar in the gas tank, Yeah. But the other thing is worth mentioning as well. This idea of the destruction of the Federation. This has been coming for a long, long time. Thematically, the destruction of the Federation has been happening anyway, because the writers and the producers of these shows, the JJ Brigade, as I call them, Kurtzman's lot, secret hideout. They've been dismantling the canon, the mythology of the series since it came back. You know,
I was quite surprised because I thought the way they'd get rid of it was it got corrupt and destroyed itself.
Well, we saw that happening in Picard. They made Starfleet out to be really shit. That Picard had to go rogue with all these renegades.
But it doesn't even line up because it's making it sound like they went back to being fine. Then all the ships blew up and they just sort of gave up.
Yeah.
Just like, you know what? That'll do. I'll leave that back.
We'll see where this is going to go, and I'm sure the explanation, because at the moment it's just been left sort of very, very vague. Either they'll do one or two things. They won't mention it. They'll just leave it as that, and that's it. Whether we'll get any references to what really happened, or whether they'll just brush it aside and concentrate now on creating the new Federation better than ever.
In the trailer for the season, it did look like they were going to try and figure out what happened. So we'll
I think when we do get the explanation, it'll be so
funny.
Well,
probably.
Yeah.
We're almost getting to my favourite bit. See, well, after they go there, you know, Book tricks her, and he's like, "Oh, go this way," and it's the vault, and she gets locked up. He nicks all of her junk from Discovery, and he runs off. She gets arrested, and then they drug her.
Oh my, yeah.
So Michael Burnham spends about 25 minutes of this episode, maybe even longer, just off her tits. Just completely
bizarre, yeah. And we speculated that this was done
to try and make her funny and likeable.
Funny and likeable, yeah, because she's like, you know, she's doped up, and then she's like, yeah.
And then after that, she off her tits leads them to Book.
Well, but you're missing something there, because they did that to her, and she was like, and all this acting, all sort of like, you know, which is shit. It was shit acting. I mean, it was almost as bad as my acting just then trying to do it. You know, It was terrible acting. The way she was acting like somebody who was suddenly just doped. But then they went for her, and all of a sudden she still had the ability to kick the shit out of her. She was gone. She was like Super Mikey Spock, you know. Yeah, and then as soon as she finished doing that, she was like, again. You know, it was just so inconsistent, it really was. So they beam out, yeah.
They go and find Book, and then they pull out the weapons from Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which I will include a picture of on the screen.
The little bubble gun things on your hand. Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Proves the point that they cannot create anything original. They have to... I must mention, actually, that... a shout out for Script Doctor. I was watching his review of the final episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, and the episode has got the Packlids in it, and they've become like this real threat. They're creating their ships now built up as out of like. I mean, they were doing that in the Next Generation anyway, but they seem to become like this. I mean, it's a terrible idea. But he said, "I've got this like noun type thing now for people." Alex Kurtzman is a Packlid that he takes everybody else's junk and just straps it all together. Nothing original. They don't know how to create anything original. They just take everybody else's and just strap it all together and say, this is now what we're using, you know, this is it now. And I thought, you know, nice one, mate. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. They are Packlids. They just don't. And like you say, with this weapon, it's just it's almost identical. It's almost identical. Yeah. I know people would say, well, there's no such thing as an original idea in Hollywood, but at least make some fucking effort to try. You know, try to make something that looks like it's your own thing. So they're chased by the Andorians and the Orions with these bubble guns.
And they keep beaming.
Beaming light, yeah.
It's a bit of a snooze fest for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Although we should say that the landscape cinematography...
Oh, that is
in
good
Iceland,
in this, yeah.
That's one good thing we'll give it. It was, it looked gorgeous. That part of the world always does. I mean, you could film the shittiest film in somewhere like that, and it would look good if nothing else. It wouldn't save the story.
In Picard, they got some places that should have looked good, and they didn't.
Yeah, that's true, and they didn't. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Another thing, another sort of compliment, barely, but Picard, everything was low quality shit off Amazon. like all the props were just low quality shit on Amazon.
Yeah, we talked about that in the video.
It doesn't look like that's the case this time.
They've clearly spent some money. And you do have to wonder where they got this money from. Yeah. Probably from Picard.
Gone cheap on Picard.
Use the excess for that. Yeah.
I mean, that's not a compliment. It's really, you didn't go lazy this time.
Well, all it is just. It really is just pointing out something that they didn't do before, which they now do. So that's not necessarily a compliment. It's just that they've just...
Hey, you did something you should have already done.
Yeah, just put a bit of money into it and make a bit of effort to make it look, Everything about Discovery, even the look of it, it looked awful in season 1 and 2.
Mm.
I mean, still... A lot of the special effects work and that looks shit. The design of the ships, it's all pew 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 because you get that light scene at the beginning, don't you? With the ship, like we say with Michael Burnham with the ship. It's all typical lens flare, JJS sort of, So that it still looks shit. I mean, that's never going to change. They're always going to make Star Trek look like that now.
Just looked a little bit less shit.
A little less frenetic and blurry than it normally does. So they obviously spent a bit more time rendering the ships and.
Well, they've been stuck in home for a while.
Well,
so might as well.
Yeah, that's true. You've got to justify what they've been doing with their time. Allegedly snorting things. So all the pew 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 stuff goes on, and they're being chased across they go back to Book's ship, and then he's got this creature.
Yeah.
Locked in one of his engines or something like that. I don't know where it is. It looked like one of his engines.
It did look like
that he was just sitting inside the back of one of his engines, and then he releases it, and it eats all the Orions and Andorians.
And then he does a weird magic prayer thing.
Because the creature tries to eat. Well, it does swallow Michael Burnham briefly, and we kind of hoped that he would swallow it, but it didn't. It kind of spat her out after he did his magic prayer.
Which he'd also done before, when she'd been shot on her arm.
He's obviously got some sort of spiritual belief.
It seems like his family.
Because he didn't say something about his family, they were from really violent people. But he was like an anomaly, once in a generation, peaceful.
He said that they have like a connection to like animals and the environment, so maybe that's where the prayer thing comes from.
I couldn't help but think about The Last Jedi. The Canto Bight stuff where they're releasing all the animals and all that. It's a similar kind of idea here, isn't it? It's like, it doesn't matter about the other things, but saving the animals does matter, And they do eventually release the creature back into its natural habitat.
Yeah. In another pretty good looking area as well.
Yeah. Very pretty picturesque scenery, but, pretty and picturesque does not save something.
No.
That's something we need to stress here. Is it might have looked nice, but it does not save anything. So that's pretty much it for that bit of Michael Burnham and Book, isn't it? But then
all that's left is
the bit you were talking about, this chap. Go to this space station, don't they? He's a non-commissioned Starfleet person. I think he was just in his family and carried it on.
Family,
And he's got like this monitoring science station that he's just running.
So he
said there's 2 ships left in the sector.
All long-range scanners stop working. All long-range communications stop working. I think this is just some lazy shit.
I do.
So he doesn't have to explain what's happened outside of this
little area. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
I might be wrong, but I reckon that we're not really going to see much out of this area
for a while at least. Yeah. I mean, maybe towards the end,
but it won't be a lot.
Start spending a bit of more money on it as well. Then maybe,
But you won't. It'll only be a small area, I imagine.
She asks him to look for Discovery.
Yeah.
Because it came through the wormhole with her in her Iron Man suit. And he can't seem to find it in that sector anyway.
Yeah.
But because she's like the only commissioned Starfleet officer around now, she gives him the job of looking. It's your mission now to look for Discovery.
And then the Queen has the honour of putting the
the Starfleet, the Federation flag up with 6 stars on it now instead of I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but obviously they were trying to do something that looked good, like a visual gimmick of such. But that really is it, isn't it? And not a lot happens in this episode.
This is a part 1.
Of a 2-parter.
It didn't feel like a part 1.
No. It didn't. You often get it's all flashbang what a picture sort of thing, with Star Trek. It's like editing frenetically, so things flying by, so you don't get a chance to stop and think about things. Which sort of happens here in this episode, but it doesn't.
A little bit when they're beaming around everywhere.
But not as much as. But one of the things that we also said was, we picked up on, because we're immune to these things now. We're immune to the STD. We picked up on the fact that the technology just in this period of time now can literally just do anything.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even have to set coordinates for a transport. It will automatically randomly just beam you. It looks like it reads your mind and just beams you. And weapons will do exactly what you want them to do without even trying.
When they went in the water, he said it changed it so they weren't, because it would have been in a rock or something.
Yeah.
It automatically changed
just
it.
Did it for It's almost like got intelligent technology within it now to know not to beam somebody into the middle of a rock or something. You know. One of the major problems with Star Trek since J.J. Abrams and his ilk took over the franchise is that they don't seem to have any grasp of the mechanics of the Star Trek universe, the way things work, technology and all that kind of thing. It's just almost like Harry Potter Trek. You know, things just happen and it's like... Expecto Patronia, whatever what the word is like, isn't it? And that was... that played out in Picard with the space ocarina that they used it to. It's like and it's like magically rebuilds the ship. It's like technology. It just does whatever the plot needs it to do now, and that's something that it's like stop getting Star Trek wrong. But by placing it in this time period now with technology that just is like magic. You don't have to explain how anything works. Yeah. It's just we need this to happen in the plot. That device will do it now, and that's it. They don't have to explain it now, because they say, it's 900-year-old advanced technology from the previous times. So it would take too long to explain how it works, but it just does. It's just there, and that attitude they had to plotting Star Trek is it just happens. It's just there. They can now quasi explain it, but it's piss poor excuse. It's just an excuse for shitty writing. But the technology will do it now, and Star Trek has rarely ever done that, except for when they needed a bit of the technobabble. When they're just like, Captain, the phase inducers won't align with the quantum matrix. Like that. Just to get over that little hump in the plot. But it wouldn't be constant, like next thing, and Kurtzman Trek, he's like that now. It's just like it's like the wormhole, and then like the crashing on the planet, no explanation how she survives it. Then hitting the ship, how that ship got so badly damaged by hitting her that it crashed as well.
You do not understand the power of the Queen.
Yeah. But then the suit's sent off and destroyed. It closes with no explanation for how all that works, and then beaming around and no explanation for how that works, and on and on it goes. So that's something that it's very much in their safe house now. It's their sort of safe territory now of being able to just say tech the tech, that's it. But it's not even tech the tech. The tech from the original Star Trek seemed plausible, even though it was completely within the realms of fantasy. They had scientific advisors who said, well, actually this sounds like something that would be real scientifically. That now it's like, let's just look through a J.K. Rowling book and see this magic thing wonder that will do this and do that. So anyway, I've rant over, but that was something that I really needed to make a point of saying. So
I just think it's fucking boring, to be honest.
It really was. It really was. I mean, we went into this episode thinking because it's
going to be a good laugh.
We didn't want to review Star Trek Discovery really, but we thought, well, we need to show up Star Trek for what it is. That's one thing, and also give us something to have a good laugh at the absolute ineptitude and lunacy. And so anyway, there really isn't a great deal more to say about it. It is literally, I mean, like you say, it's part one of a two-part story. But it is the adventures of Mikey Spock and her new best friend,
and her drug-fueled
and her drug-frenzied, which still allows her to kick the crap out of people just on a whim, So
power of the Queen.
Yeah, really. Well, what's just say for now is watch this space. We didn't get the laughs out of it that we would have liked. We thought it would have been great just to sit there and take the piss out of how inept these writers are. But we didn't even have that. It was generally very boring.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Please get funnier.
Yeah, give us something to have a good laugh at. At least something to have a good laugh at.
In like
and not an intentional laugh either. Not like proper laughing at the Orville. This is like take the piss laugh out of the ineptitude of the writers and everything else, you know.
At least we got Mandalorian in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, at least there might be something good to get out of that. I'm hoping, unless they haven't took that to Golden Goose and shat all over it. So we'll see. But it's interesting that they are doing the member berries thing. I mean, people said that they're doing that with the Andorians and the Orions, but I noticed like the mention of the like Benamite crystals and trilithium and all that. It's like they're trying to be clever by referencing old Trek, but they don't. It's very different actually to the way they normally do it in Star Trek, because normally they, especially certainly like Lower Decks. I mean, we gave up on that episode 3, but from what I gathered, it's just been like member berry, reference this planet, that technology, that crystal, that race, that you know. But that wasn't really here all that much.
No, not really.
So, yeah.
I guess they're finally just going like, fuck that shit. This is Star Trek now.
Yeah. So yeah, do you want to rate it out of 10?
Now you may be thinking I will give this a 1 out of 10, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give it a cheeky 2.5.
Really?
I'm going to give it a cheeky 2.5.
Okay.
It was a bit dull, but it didn't physically hurt me to watch like Picard did.
But doesn't it say something when we've come to the point that something not physically hurting us and destroying our brain is actually a good thing? I mean, I can't give points for that because I want, I want something to actually be good. I just don't want it to be like less bad. I'm going to give it a 1, and I know people will say, "Yeah, well, we saw that one coming," and I'm giving that 1 for the cinematography, which looked. I mean, you can't go wrong with Iceland anyway, and that, but such places. But pretty scenery does not make for a good story or good acting or good plotting or anything like that. But it looked nice.
Yeah.
It was nice to look at. And one little other thing, as I said, where there was no hope before. There is hope now. Because of Mackie Spock, the Queen. She's there to save the galaxy. And I think we'll leave it there. I think we'll leave it there for now.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And always remember, pray to the Queen and simp as much as you can.
But don't hurt your leg in the process when you're simping.
Taking pain for the Queen is acceptable.
Okay, all right then. We'll allow that then. And with that, we will say thank you very much for watching this video, and please subscribe to the channel if you can, like this video, share it about. We truly appreciate it, and we'll see you for another Star Trek Discovery Part 2 next week. Take care for now.
Goodbye.